Hello. So we completed the bootlid on the last video. Bought this vent, sort of vent you see on the side of a building. Drew a few lines. I'm going to cut it into two. One over here, one over there. So I'll get this cut out, see what it looks like. So I've got my vents cut out now. I have them a bit higher up, but I remember my hinges are going there, so I'll probably live somewhere around there. Got to bolt them down yet. I'm going to run a piece of metal, same thickness as that, all the way down the middle, I think, just to hide some of the imperfections. Plus I need to give it a bit of strength because it's a bit soft, so we'll try and strengthen that up. Got some metal we'll cut out and see what it looks like. Thinking to run it most of the way down, probably to about here. That's like 26 inches, so we'll cut out 26 inches of this metal, same thickness as that little piece on top. See what that looks like. Right, I got my bit of metal drew out to the same thickness as that piece. Just gonna run all the way down. But I don't want it to be just a flat edge towards the bottom there, so I'm gonna have to try and figure out some sort of point to taper it so it doesn't look so abrupt. So I'll try and figure out how this is going to look. Right, I'll show you some bits I just did off camera. So I cut that strip out, painted it. It has bloomed a bit in this cold weather, but you can always repaint that. On the underside of that, the thing I've got that screw to, I've cut out two slats of wood, which has got the same curvature as this, to make it a bit more sturdy. It definitely is more sturdy now. I'll try and lift this up without dropping it. So that's what it's screwed down to. Tried to cut the same sort of curve as what's going on underneath there. So my two rows of screws are screwed into that. It's definitely a lot more sturdy now, which is a bonus. And I've got that lined up to this little piece here that's been there a while. Just rejig it so all that matches up nice. Straight down the front where the piano hinges, all lines up bang on. Now I've got something to work off to put my vents either side. I can just line them up with this now. I'll have to cut out the actual holes under the vents because I want them working to let all the engine heat out. Still haven't got my hinges yet, so I'll have to have a look on the order to see how long they are. I think they're 6 inches this way, so I'll have to put my vents around here. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So I've got my vents on. I've only screwed them on, I haven't made the hole underneath yet. This is Jinxie, the garage manager. But yeah, everything's lining up good. Replaced all the bolts that I stole yesterday, all the screws. So next thing is to mark out where these vents are underneath and get the angle grinder on it, cut it out so they're functional. That's the plan. What do you think of that, Jinx? He approves. Jinx has decided to test out how sturdy it is. I think he approves of the work. I think if I didn't put those bits in, he would have gone straight through that. Seems to be okay, can hold a bit of weight, it's not bowing. Just checking out my work. Doesn't look angry, so it must be okay. So we'll get them cut out. So come home from work to a parcel, which was my hinges. It's literally not what I ordered, but guess it's what we're gonna have to use now. They took ages to turn up. So yeah, these are like gate hinges by the look of it. I ordered something similar shape, but it wasn't like this hammered effect. But guess what we're gonna have to use, so let's chuck them on. So screwing these hinges down, I can screw down to this because there's a piece of wood on the other side of this, about this thick. On the other side of the fiberglass there's nothing though, so what we're going to do is chop this piece of wood in half. So I've got one to go underneath each one. We'll sandwich the fiberglass between this wood and this hinge, just so I've got something to screw into. Should make it a bit more sturdy as well. So we'll chop this in half. Okay, I've screwed these down to the wood that's under there. Drew some little Sharpie marks where the holes are. Drilled those out. 1, 2, 3. So now I'll undo these. Get these screwed to that with the wood on the underside. And then hopefully when I screw these back in, everything's going to line up. It's the plan. Okay, so on the other side of these bits of wood, I've got the hinges screwed down to them, but they're still a bit flimsy. I feel like as soon as I open that boot, it's going to rip the fiberglass on the other side, so we're going to have to strengthen them. A few ways I could do this. Got these little L, well, I've got one L bracket, so I don't think that would do a lot, so we're not going to do that. I could screw from underneath into the wood, which I think I'll do, but on top of that I've cut out some pieces of wood which I'm going to screw onto there like that, and I've got a flat piece to go over the top. That way I can screw straight through to this wood that I've originally put on and screw onto the rib that I've put on as well. So I'm hoping that'll be enough to keep it sturdy enough without ripping all the fiberglass that we did. So that's my plan. Try and get this together. Right, seems to have done the job. I didn't have screws long enough to go through all 3 of them, so I had to screw this piece of wood to this piece of wood. I had to count and sync the screws so this would be flush. Then I had to screw this piece of wood to this piece of wood, and then obviously straight through there to the ribs. That is so much stronger. Took some doing. I didn't go all the way with the drill when I was tightening them. Went most of the way and just pinched them up with a screwdriver. A bit worried about stuff breaking. Started making some funky noises. But yeah, pretty happy with that. That's solid. Just got them all screwed down. Well, most of them. Missing a couple of screws in each just to see where we're at. See if it opens and closes. I haven't done this yet, so if it goes wrong, this is real time. Little creak. Yeah, seems to be working. Everything's wide. I'll make a little bonnet bar, hold it open when I'm working on it. But for now, that's alright. I have to put on these little catches next. So I'll put some on either side and clamp it all down. So I'm not going down the road like this. All in all, I'm pretty happy with that. Looks straight. Let's get these on. Right, this is a close-up of what they are. So it comes in two parts. All the screws come with it as well. So they latch on like that. So we screw this to the fiberglass, this one to the panel underneath, and then that flips over onto there. When you pull it down, it clamps it shut. It has got a little hole in the side as well. They can stick an R-clip through just to make sure it won't open. So that's what they do. Let's get it on. I didn't film the other side getting put on because it's getting a bit dark, but they are both on. They're pretty tight. Real tight. So plan right now, I want to build a little rod that holds the boot lid up. So I found this in my scrap metal pile. I had a bolt welded to the end, and I had this weird bolt with a hole on the end. It's just happened to screw in, so we'll use this. I'm thinking of a screw through there so it can hinge up and down and somehow hold the boot up. So that's our plan. Right, this is what I come up with just for using what I had in the garage. Found this little bracket. I think there's supposed to be a pole that goes in it. I think it's from a wardrobe or something. Put one of them either end of your wardrobe, pole through the middle, that holds that up there. Found this little metal tab with a bit of rubber on, so that sits in there, clips in when I'm not using it. Pretty sturdy. Just got to screw through that end, and that's it. Nice and simple. Not the best looking thing in the world, but it does its job. Bonnet bar. Work on the engine without it falling on my head. Still got to cut out these bits yet for the vents, and I really need to clean in there. Happy with that. Not even going to paint it. Right, so torch in there. You can see the sprocket isn't lined up anymore, and the reason for that is this axle moves back and forth on those bearings there. Literally just wheeling out the garage has moved that. So what I've done, I've made sure this little gap here and this little gap here are the same, and on this bearing, both sides, you've got the tiniest little grub screw. Get me torch in there. You've got two of these grub screws, one each side, and it's like a little tiny Allen key that tightens them up. So I'm going to tighten these up just for now. It's not going to be enough to hold the axle full time, but it'll be enough for what we need to do right now, which is try and get it moving under its own power. So you can buy these little collars that go around the axle here. It's literally just a massive, like, big washer that goes on it with bigger grub screws. And the way I do it is, it's better to show you this side. You can see the keyway, which is a slot which is grooved out of it. I try and land these grub screws into a slot so it won't move even more than it needs to. So for now I'll just tighten these up, but I will be putting collars on there because it will move. And then we'll readjust the sprocket, that gold one on the axle there. So we'll line that back up. Found a bit of chain from my last car. Don't know if it's going to be enough, but I'm going to give that a go. Try and get that on, and that's the last bit to get drive. And we'll try and drive it. Got no brakes yet though. Right, so it's a new day. I'm going to take the boot lid off. There's a few things I need to do. I'm going to have these vents off and cut out the holes underneath. Not sure how I'm going to do that yet, whether just to cut a square out underneath or just drill loads of holes. I'm not sure how much it will weaken it. Another thing I want to do is respray this piece of metal. I think because it was a cold day when I painted it, paint's bloomed a bit, so it looks a bit patchy. Also I need the boot lid off because the sprockets need to come off, because I want to go out and get a chain today from the motorbike shop. I think I'm just going to take both sprockets down there and try and match it up. save going back through all my orders and seeing what I did order, because it's so long ago when I bought them. So that's the plan, just get the boot off. So I'm going to go for squares, I think. I'm not going to bother cutting, repainting this today, because it's proper cold. It's probably just going to happen again. I do want to paint these red as well, but we'll have to wait for another day. I've labelled them left and right, just so I know where they come from. So I can't imagine those screw holes are going to match up on both of them. They are pretty close, but I have labelled them, so there will be a difference. I'm just going to cut out those squares now. I'll just have to save the painting for another day. Okay, there's a lot of dust on it now, hopefully that's just going to wipe off. It's always scary cutting into freshly painted panels, but it's quite easy to ruin 4 days work there. I think we got away with it. Doesn't feel like it's lost a lot of strength, so we'll get the vents back on and see how it looks. Alright, they're back on. So I've got a bit of ventilation now from the engine. Don't think that come out too bad really. Back on. See through them. Yeah, it's gonna have to wait for paint, I think. That big strip in the middle, you can see it in here now. Didn't come out too great. I'll wait for a nice sunny day, get the vents painted, that middle strip. Got the accelerator pedal out. So my thinking is cut another piece like this coming up, with a right angle coming off, like that. So this bolt here will actually be over here now, letting this come up. So this will be the new bolt hole. I use the existing bolt hole to bolt this to, put another one down there. So 2 bolts through there, douche douche, which will hold on this new L bracket coming out, save me getting the welder out. And also, I've got a new spring to replace this tatty looking thing. So that's our plan, upgrades. Scaring her. I've cut my little piece out, so I've got to drill another hole there. That's going to bolt on, douche douche. New stopper is going to go through here. these bolts I got are slightly too long. They're going to hit this. So I'm cutting them down like that. One of the best tips somebody gave me was cutting down bolts. Screw a nut on the end first. And then when you've cut it down, when you unscrew it, it opens the threads back up. If you didn't put the nut on, there would be no way of putting the nut back on after. In fact, I'm going to cut one down without a nut and one with a nut on, just to show. So we'll cut this one down. Okay, just chop two bolts down, roughly the same size, one with a nut on and one without. So we'll screw this one off. Gets a bit tight towards the end, but that's because it's putting the threads back where they're supposed to be. So they're apart. Might take a bit of wiggling. There he is, back on. Now if I try that same nut on the one that I didn't put this on, you can see the burrs on the end, and this, there's just no chance of getting that back on. You can see it squashed down, look. See the threads squashed together, and that's just never going to go on. Top tip. Okay, bolted that on with the existing hole I had. So to get the next hole, we use the one we've just done. Try and get that centered. But my overall plan is to have this, hands in the way out, is to have this nut, this bolt there-ish, to bring this closer as a stopper, whereas before it was there. So we're going to have it from there to there. Okay, I think I've got all my bits cut out. Chop that down a little bit because I'm not going to need that last little bit that was on there. I've drilled all my holes, shaved it down a little bit. One thing I did do off camera, that I wish I did film, when I was grinding it down, this exploded on me, which is crazy. So that's why you don't use cutting discs to grind down your edges, I suppose. So that was scary. Anyway, let's get this bolted together. going for. This bolt that I put through here needed to be over here really, but it would have overlapped the edge of that. So what I did, smacked it with a hammer and just bent that bolt, and it does the job. So it's not the way I would have liked to do it, but new spring works a lot better, looks better too. Not that you're going to see it, but let's get it bolted back in and give it a test. Okay, got it all screwed back in. A couple of the screws actually snapped when I took it out, so I've replaced them. I've moved the whole pedal along about an inch, so it's got new holes. So we'll just connect this back up, give it a go. Alright, just tried to test this. It worked really well for 2 revs. And then this pulled through this bracket I made. That metal piece has got a flange on it. That flange has just straightened itself out. And it's just pulled straight through. So we need to get this black piece clamped down. The way I'm thinking is something similar to what we got here. So that screw clamps this down on the black. So I'm going to make a little clamp and just clamp that to the floor. It's my plan. Okay, I think I'm going to call it for this video. We're getting close now to actually finishing. So we'll get all the brakes done and get some drive in this thing for the next one, and hopefully that'll be the last build video on this thing, and we'll get some footage of it out and about. Don't forget to subscribe. See ya!